scarfing down my lunch. I always give myself not enough time to do what I need to do before I go live on Tuesdays, probably on Fridays too. And I am going to try to, pull up my YouTube video on the iPad here so that I can see the comments more easily. So that was a struggle last week for me to see. So let's see if we can do that before I get started. But welcome everyone. This is part 8 of the mini puff jacket crochet along. You guys can see my mini puff jacket here, which we are going to be working on. Here it is. And I'll have to see if I know how to turn the volume down too. Let's see. All right. There's the volume. Awesome. And live chat. Pop out chat. Okay, perfect. All right, so now I've got the chat separate on here, so I'll be able to keep up with what you guys are talking about without having to poke at my phone. And I do have a tripod for this thing, so we're going to use that. Let's see if that works. There it is. Okay. So I pull that out. All right. And then this should turn. Okay. Technology. That will work. Aha. Yes. So Cataloger says, hi, everyone. Happy to be back after not being able to join. And yes, Marianne, who can't figure out how to change her screen name. I had to figure that out for this YouTube channel. I do think you have to go and like change your YouTube, maybe. Not 100% sure on that one. Okay, let me grab our pattern. All right. Oh, goodness. And I know we had talked about this last week that I said I had one 12mm hook left in the shop, and I figured someone would end up purchasing it, and they did. So I didn't realize that 12mm was one of the few that I didn't save for myself. So I've got this one. It's just gray, but it matches my sweatshirt. So, you know, but that's our gray one. And that's a 12mm hook. And we should have, you know, we tried to get really stocked up for the holidays. But, you know, we're at the point now where it's obviously almost too close to Christmas to order certain things. And so we are out of a couple of sizes of hooks, and that will be remedied after the holidays. So we will obviously start restocking some new colors and doing all of that once we get through the holidays. But hello everyone and welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Let's see. And yes, Kim is another cloudy day. We've got a lot of people here. We've got Emma is here, and Mary Ann, and Kim, and another Emma. We've got multiple Emmas. Let's see. And I know Ellen is here. Welcome, welcome. So thank you guys for joining in. I'm going to try to see where we're at. And little baby Spooky Bats is here. Hello, hello. Okay, so we got to adding the sleeves, and I was supposed to go to row 20. And I did tell you guys I had started out going, turning my work for the rows, but I did realize that I am pushing it to the limit with the amount of yarn that I bought for this jacket. And I was a little worried that working back and forth and turning my work for the rows was going to cause the rows to be a little shorter. I feel like it shrinks your stitches a little bit. And so I decided to frog my sleeve. So this is my first sleeve. And I frogged it today, actually, before the live, because I've been working on Christmas presents at night. But I went back and I did not turn my work. And I do feel like the sleeve is a little bit longer, which is what I needed because I didn't want to have to add rows and then run out of yarn. So I don't really have a good contrast color for this one. I'd have to buy something, and I'd really like to not have to do that. So that's what I did. And I got to row 22. So as you guys can see, I'll hold it up. This is where we're at. So there is the jacket. There is the first part of the sleeve. And I do want to show you guys. So this is a part of the pattern making, the pattern process. So if you're making a cardigan or if you're making a sweater, you need to try it on as you go. Like, I mean, I can't say that enough, that that's super important for you to make sure that things are actually going to, you know, are actually going to fit you the way that you want them to. Let's see. Ellen says, don't forget the thumbs up. Yes, please hit thumbs up if you have not. Critters Crochet says I did continuous rounds on my sleeves. So, and you can choose to do that. I know for me, I'm going to lose count. So it doesn't matter if I use stitch markers. If I do continuous rows, it's not going to happen. So there are people who want to do that. You can do that. And if it works, it works. I do have to say with this yarn, here is my seam. So it does depend on the yarn if your seam is going to be visible, but my seam runs, it starts here and it runs up all the way across here. So yes, it is diagonal, but you can't see it. So it really depends on the yarn you're using. This yarn is so camouflaged that it doesn't matter. And I make it so that the seam will run from underneath your armpit up around. So it's on the underside of your arm anyway. So you're not going to see a big seam running down the front of your work. But that is an option. Okay, so I'm going to try this on so you guys can see. I thought about maybe adding some length, but then I decided against it again, just because I don't know how much, I don't know if I'm going to be playing yarn chicken or not. It feels like I'm going to, but I'm not sure yet. So I was going to show you guys where I'm at. So this is 20 rows, but I do feel like I have long arms despite only being 5'4". And this is where it ends. So I am going to have a good length of cuff here and another half double crochet round, and then I'll have a sleeve. Now, what's interesting about the sleeves for these, for me, it's kind of hard to roll your sleeves up when you're using chunky yarn. So sometimes I'll actually make these sleeves a little bit shorter so that if I go to wash my hands, I can just push my arms out and it'll pull it up a little bit higher and I can wash my hands. I don't have to try to like shove the sleeve up my arm. So that's another reason. And yarn over time, if you're wearing it a lot, is going to stretch out. Even if it's just a little bit, it's going to stretch out. So even though I was tempted to add another row of length, I think I'm just going to stick to the pattern. And the really good thing is, if you make my patterns often, you know that the sleeves are worked from the top down. So if your cardigans end up stretching out and the sleeves turn a little too much of a bell, you can undo the sleeve from the sleeve down, take a few rows out, and close it back up. So it's been super helpful because I have a few Luna cardigans that I made with just like a Woolies thick and quick kind of thing. And the sleeves got too stretched out for comfort. Like I'm standing there and it looks like a bell sleeve over the cuff, like it was like hiding the cuff. So I undid where I wove in my ends and the cuff, frogged the cuff, frogged a couple rows of the sleeve, added the cuff back in and closed it all up. And there we go, it's fixed. So it's really easy to do that. If I try my jacket on and I'm completed it and I still have yarn left over and I decide I want the sleeves longer, I can just frog them both back, add a little length, and voila, there we go. So super simple. Okay, let's see. And of course I let the iPad, it doesn't want to stay on that long. Emma says you're 5 foot. No, 5'4". Not 5 foot, but close. I mean, I'm only 4 inches over it. So yeah, 5'4". And it's actually funny because I got a treadmill and it's meant for people who are 5'4" and under. If anyone's looking for a good treadmill, I got you. Just shoot me a message because it's a good one. It's Life Pro. Life Pro makes a treadmill and it's their shorty version because they have a larger one that's more expensive. But It's got a lifetime warranty. And I was like, what in this world nowadays has a lifetime warranty anymore? So I got that one. Great Black Friday deal. But I've been using it every morning and it's been great. I'm getting to walk every morning again. So it's nice. Okay, so we are about to start on the cuff. So I am going to flip the camera around so you guys can see how I create the cuff. So let's do that. I'm going to flip the camera around. Okay. So let's do this. Now I'm going to have to move that a little bit. Here we are. Okay. All right, perfect. So you guys can see this is the end of my sleeve. Now row 21, I did want to show you guys so that we are all on the same page, literally. All right, I finished row 20. So row 2 through 20, you're just doing your half double crochets around to create the length of your sleeve. I chose to change colors before starting the next row. Now that was on my last one. I'm maintaining the same color for this entire one, so I'm not changing colors. So row 21, we're going to chain 1, HDC, DEC. So this is a half double crochet decrease all the way around. So everyone up here is working in even numbers. Okay, so when you do half double crochet decreases around, you're going to end up splitting this in half, right? So you shouldn't have any leftover stitches. So I should have 11 half double crochet decreases around, I think. Am I following that one? I didn't highlight what I was following. Let's see. Okay, I'm following the second one right here, not the first one. So I should have 12. Yeah, so I'm following the second number. So I should have 12 half double crochet decrease stitches around. Now, half double crochet decrease is also known as half double crochet 2 together, right? So you may see both, which is going to be called HDC 2 TOG is how that is written out in some patterns. Same thing. You're going to be working 2 half double crochet stitches together to form a decrease, all right? So let's make sure that we are focused. So I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to place my first half double crochet decrease. Now, if you need help with any of these specific stitches, you can check out my Learn to Crochet playlist, and I have a whole video on half double crochet and on increasing and decreasing. All right, so I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into this same space that I joined into. I work into that first stitch, pull up my third loop, just like I would do a regular half double crochet. So I've got technically 3 loops on my hook, but then immediately I'm going to place my hook into the next stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop. So now I've got 4 loops on my hook, and I'm going to yarn over again and pull through all of those loops. All right, so that's my first half double crochet decrease, right? So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, pull up a loop, insert my hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all the loops. So one more time up close, yarn over, push the hook through, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 4. All right, so we are already starting to see it's pulling all of these stitches together so that it's decreasing that space. All right, so I am going to finish this while we're here so you guys can see what that will look like, especially if anyone is joining in and needs that extra help. And remember, guys, like I said, I'm going to do my best to keep up with comments and things, but I am trying to make sure that this will remain a really great resource for anyone who maybe finds it later and needs the additional help. So I know you may not be following along right now, and you may not need the extra assistance, but I'm hoping it will be a good resource into the future as people find this and want to make their own mini puff. All right, I gotta turn this. Like I said, that's probably the only downside, in my opinion, of super bulky yarn and sweaters and making things in one big piece like this, is that you have to turn your work a lot in your lap. It can get pretty cumbersome at times, but for me, it's worth it. I don't want to have to be seaming things together and trying to keep them from puckering and all of that fun stuff. Oh, I think I just went on autopilot. Yep. Yep, for quite a few. There we go. See what happens? Not paying attention, trying to talk. All right. So I started doing regular half double crochet stitches instead of decreases. I also think it's kind of fun to see the speed at which other people crochet. So that's kind of nice. I like doing this live for that reason too. I think this is definitely not edited. All right. Okay, and I've got 2 more spaces. At least I think I do. That may be it. Let's see. We've got, I should have 12. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so we've already got 12. It's kind of hard to see the stitches on these two. But that's 12 decrease stitches. I do feel like I must be missing something because I feel like that I'm going to crochet 3 together on the last one. So if that ever happens, I may have added a stitch in there somewhere without meaning to. So I'm going to half double crochet 3 together at the end so I don't have a hole there. There we are. Okay, so now you can see I've got a much smaller hole here than I did going around. And now, if we read the rest of these instructions, we've got, all right, this was the one we just finished, this row right here. So rows 22 through 25, you're going to chain 1 and single crochet all the way around, join with a slip stitch, and then you'll tie off on the last row. So you'll continue to not turn between rows, unless, again, if you wanted to turn between rows, you obviously can. It is your choice. But let's get the camera flipped back around and I will work on this cuff. Okie dokie. And I can catch up on our comments. I can get the iPad to turn back on. Okay. Let's see. So Emma is 5'1". Oh, and it's jumping. I got jumps. Let's see. Thorn says I set an alarm this time so I could be slightly earlier. And you're good. You're good. Thorn says I'm 5'8". I say that not to brag because I'm always surprised when people I don't know in person are different heights. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell when you're online. If you just know people from online, it's kind of hard to tell how tall people are. Sometimes you can tell. Sometimes you can tell from people's build. If you see a picture of them, you know, or you'll have context clues if they're standing next to something, it's easier to see. But I do feel like it can be difficult at times to tell how tall people are. And I'm surprised sometimes because you guys know as part of my patterns, I do the measurement guide, you know, that has people's measurements, their height, their chest, their hips, all of that stuff. So people can really say, okay, well, I have measurements similar to this person, so this is how this would fit on me. But sometimes I'm surprised by their heights. I think it's really interesting. Okay, so I need to count just to make sure, because remember I was a little unsure about how many half double crochets I had around. So I should have 12 single crochets around my first cuff row. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Should have 2 more, fingers crossed. 11 and 12. Good. Okay. So I had at some point when I was working on this sleeve, I had added an extra stitch in there somewhere, which can happen. So that's why I did that like triple decrease. So HDC 3 together instead of 2 to fix that. And don't think it's going to be noticeable in any other way. Okay, so now I will join from that first cuff row, and it's rows 22 to 25. So that's 22, 23, 24. That's 4 rows of the cuff of single crochet stitches. So I'm going to do that, but let's see. There's not enough shorty stuff. Very cool. I'm 5'2" and my daughter is 5 even. Well, and I'm very short-waisted, so I don't have a lot of room between the bottom of like my bra line and my hips. And so I tend to make things a little more cropped because it kind of gives me more of a shape. And so I know there's a lot of people who appreciate that, but there's a lot of people who wish that my patterns were longer. And I think the good news is my patterns tend to be super, super easy to adjust. You know, if you want to add length, you can. And if you have any experience crocheting and following patterns, you'll have no problem adding length to any of my stuff, just because the base design is so simple that, you know, it's just adding length to the panels. So you'll see, like, this is how it's going to be laid out. So this is where I'll add length. So I feel like that can be super helpful for sure, because not everybody is a shorty. And I feel like I'm kind of average. I think 5'4" is more of like an average, like 5'3" to 5'5". I think it's outside of that range where it starts to get more difficult, whether, you know, if you have to wear petite type, like I've never had to shop in the petite section. And I feel like, for instance, my stepmom is like probably 5 foot, and she is pretty tiny. So she's probably like a size 2, if that. I feel like it's at one point she was buying like 00 jeans. So she has always had to shop in like a more petite section because everything's too long. Like the sleeves will be too long, the torso will be too long. You know, so I feel for you guys. It's both ends of the spectrum when people are too tall or too short, or they just don't have things that fit you. Thorn says, Evelyn, metaphorically, I look way, way up to you and Kayla from Alt Knots, and it's weird to think you're both shorter than me. That's true. Yeah, and like I said, it's hard to know. That's really sweet, though. Thank you. Very good reference for future viewers. Thanks, Ellen. Winter says, hello, everyone. I'm ears off because busy with an order, but I'm here. Well, hello. Welcome. Definitely no rush on getting to my comments. Glad you're prioritizing the tutorial aspect. I wish we were better at that with my poet shirt series. It's a hard balance, especially with this kind of thing, because it is technically a tutorial, and I know that people you know, may come across this later and be here for the tutorial, which is why, you know, there are a lot of people who'd probably say this is not the right way to do a crochet along, because people just want to get to the content. But this is me, and I think I'm at that point now, and I think we should all feel like if we're going to run a business and we're going to have to do the work, then we should feel comfortable doing it the way we want to do it, you know, and enjoy it. Like, I mean, my goodness, if I'm going to be going live once a week, I want to be enjoying it. And for me, it's more fun to go live and have the opportunity to interact with you guys than to film a video, you know, just talking to myself and explaining what I'm doing and then uploading it, and, you know, not having that interaction, I guess, in the moment. And I've, you know, with this one, I know there have been a few times where I've been able to answer some questions that people have had about the pattern in real time, which has been really great. So that's a really nice bonus. Let's see. Okay. We've got one more. I think I may do 5 instead of 4 cuff rows. So the single crochet rows that make up the cuff. I may add one more, since I was a little concerned about the length of the sleeves, because that would be super easy to remove if I needed to. I could just take that last row off of there. Kim says, having the visual for a pattern is always great. I love it. Everyone is saying hello to Winter. Kim says, I do find it relaxing to watch crocheting and knitting. That's good. That's really what you guys get to watch on here. So that's super helpful. And let me know, I would love to know, actually, I would love to know, do you guys have anything crochet related on your Christmas list? And if you don't, what are some of, like, even if it's just one thing that you're really hoping that you get this Christmas? I would love to know what's on your wish list this year. And I'll give you guys some time to answer, and I can let you guys know what was on my wish list this year. Let's see. Thorn says even just pictures help a lot, so this is great. Yeah, and I've always been big on pictures. I would be really sad when I bought a pattern and didn't have photos because I felt like I needed the extra help. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm doing one more. Yeah, I'm going to do one more row on this. Marianne says, agree, I still haven't seamed up my sides. Glad Evelyn is making these tutorials. Woo-woo. And yes, watching other makers while I'm crocheting is soothing and encouraging. That's good to know. So do you tend to watch that kind of stuff even if you're not making what they're making? So do you like watch Crochet-A-Longs and lives and things like that where people are crocheting and like you're working on something else? Because I think that's really interesting. Let's see. In a way, I'm glad you did something that had to be fixed with a 3HDC together because that shows people how they can fix things as they go along. It doesn't have to be perfect. Exactly. Exactly. You don't need to frog back. You don't need to frog your entire sleeve to figure out where you added one crochet increase. Now, some patterns, if it's super intricate, if there's color work, yes, you might need to frog it back. But again, that's why I want my patterns to be really simple. So usually the simpler the pattern, the simpler the fix if you have an issue. So that's really nice. And you can kind of wing it. I want people to feel creative. I want people to feel like they have the ability, the permission almost to wing it. Like have fun with it. You know, I mean, I know not everybody grew up that way. I know for me, when I got a sewing machine, I never wanted to follow a pattern. So I never did. I would just wing it. And I think sometimes that's fun and it's creative and it gets, you know, that side of your brain thinking in a different way. So I love that. Okay, so I'm done with my cuff. So you guys can see there's the cuff of my sleeve. Now, if for some reason, so I'm actually going to put this on over my wrist to make sure, if for some reason this is too tight, then you can go back to the row where you did the half double crochet decreases and just don't do a decrease for every single one. Okay. So you could do like 2 decreases and a regular half double crochet, 2 decreases and a regular half double crochet, 2 decreases, and then it may end, or you may have space for one more half double crochet. But I kind of like that these are a little tight. That's a nice fit for me. It's not going to feel constricting, but it's going to stay in place. So I'm happy with that, but I did want to mention that just in case you have, especially if you have bigger hands, sometimes that can be an effect, or if your wrists are a little bit larger and that's uncomfortable for you, then you can adjust that way. All right, so I'm going to tie off here and I'm going to join for the other sleeve. Now I'm not going to flip the camera around for that because for anyone watching, I did the sleeve tutorial where I actually attached it while you guys could watch and set my stitch markers and showed how to do that on the last one. So for this one, I'm just going to go for it. Now I do have to remember, I think I had 24 around. Let me get my pattern. Let's see. And great tip about shortening sleeves as they stretch out over time. Yeah, it's super helpful. Don't give up on a cardigan, especially if it was top-down sleeves, because you can just frog it back. And if I don't mention, I'm trying to get through comments a little bit faster. And so if you guys are talking to each other, I may not address the comments as much. But She Bangs Drums is here. Greetings, welcome. Let's see. Thorn says, I'm short-legged, which is a problem for finding pants. My height is in my torso. So when I was presenting female, I couldn't find one-piece swimsuits. Yes. So, and that's so I'm short-waisted. So I'm the opposite. So I have longer legs, longer arms, but a short torso. So it can be a struggle. It's a struggle. We're all different. All bodies are so different. Thorn says, I've been learning to adapt to things myself as well. Here we go. So, and Kim said, your patterns are such a great formula. Thank you, Kim. She bangs drums. Since I started crocheting, I've learned that I have a long torso and short arms, and I'm glad to say now I have the confidence to adapt patterns. I always add a few rows to the end and do less rows on the sleeves. Exactly. And I think that's once you start crocheting your own clothes, it becomes a lot easier to know where you need to make adjustments. Emma, I'm learning to knit sweaters now. I would really like to try knitting one of your patterns one day instead of crochet, just to change things up a smidge. Definitely. I mean, I think there are a couple of really great knitting designers out there who make similar things. Send me a message if you'd like, and I can point you in their direction, because there are some people who make really cool stuff that a lot of my stuff is similar to, because I wanted that oversized chunky feel. And that really started, I think, with the chunky knit sweaters, the oversized cardigans and sweaters that are knit. So shoot me a message, because I can send you a list of some of the people that I follow who make that chunky knitwear. Thorn says, I've had to start taking advice with a grain of salt, because if I do things my way, I tend to find my audience better and enjoy it. Definitely. Emma, I watched the Luna Cal recently and didn't mind the live, only that I really wanted to join in. Like, you want to say things and then it's not live, so I can't answer. I agree. Kim says, my wish list is a pink sheep hook. And Kim, do you have a pink sheep hook yet? I thought, do you? I think you do. I think you're in the hook club. Are you in the hook club? That list is growing, so it's really fun to get to see people buy their first hook, and then they'll come back and they'll get more, and then I can send them the achievement badges, and it's really fun. Okay, so second sleeve. So I'm going to move on to the next page. Oh, no, I'm not. I just have to repeat on the other side. So adding the sleeves. So I need 24. I need 24 stitches around the armhole. So I'm going to work on that. And I just have this in front of me, so you probably, maybe I can do this so you guys can actually see what I'm working on. It's, ooh, instead of just seeing me talk. And that's always nice. I think if people join in and have not seen any of my lives, they can see what I'm working on. Oh, and I need stitch markers. Let me go grab some of those. All right, so I need to put a stitch marker halfway, and I'm just going to eyeball that right here. All right, and then let's do a halfway point, maybe right here. And I said I wasn't going to turn the camera around, but I'm not going to walk all the way through it. I'm just going to do this. Okay. So I need my working yarn, new working yarn. Marianne says, well, I picked up a package from Evelyn that was addressed to my husband, so apparently he shopped my wish list, hoping there's a unicorn in the box. Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. You know, it's so funny. I have a lot more male names purchasing from my Etsy shop right now, and I kind of feel bad when they don't leave me a message to say that it's a gift, because I'm not going to assume. Like, I do have some male crocheters who shop my work, but you know, I want to make sure I know, you know, usually I don't personalize if they say it's a gift. So if they mark it as a gift, then I don't personalize the name tag as much. I just say, like, hello friend, you know, so that they can give it to whoever it's for and it doesn't have to have their name on it. But if they don't market it as a gift, I just kind of assume that it's the guy who's buying the item, which I don't think is a bad thing, but I do think there are some, husbands who are buying things for their wives, or their girlfriends or partners or whoever, as a gift. So, all right. So I need 24, which is 12 and 12. So I need 6 in between these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So I've got 6 here. All right. Now I can remove this one. Okay. So I need 6 more up to this one. And let's see. Trying to catch up where I was. Lauren says, I'm not doing much for Christmas this year, but I guess I'd want success for my channel and time with my chosen family. That's a really, really good thing to wish for. I frequently fudge it to fix mistakes, my color work, Grafgans, so you might not need to frog much even then. And I really do think it depends on the pattern, and it depends on the mistake, and it depends on a lot of factors. There are definitely things that, I've said I should probably go back and frog that. And I just realized I should have left that. I need to leave that because this, I'm going to mark my first one because I need 6 between here and the end. So that's number 1. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so I ended up right before this one. So I'm going to mark that this is the 12th stitch right here. Okay. I have to say, I don't mean to toot our own horns, but I love these stitch markers so much. They just make it so easy. Okay, so now I need to place one in the middle between here and here, which I'm going to go right about here. I'm just eyeballing it. Yeah, you guys can see. That's where I'm placing it. So I need to do another 6 here and another 6 here, and I'll have 24 around. Critters Crochet said I have a crochet book, wooden bottoms for bags, a ring light, and a Swift. Those are fantastic wish list items. So last year I got a winder and a Swift. So I had never owned either. And I have to say, totally, totally, totally worth it. And I don't buy a lot of luxury yarn. And usually that's what you need the Swift for, because it comes in the hanks of yarn instead of, balls or cakes or whatever. But I have been extremely happy with being able to use it for all of my leftovers. So I got to cake that up. Obviously, what I'm working on now, I caked up 2 pieces of yarn together. So it's a big, big, big help for sure. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I have room for one more. So that landed right where I needed it. All right. So I'm going to leave that stitch marker there because I need 6 more to finish this out, and then I'll be able to be a lot more on autopilot once I finish getting these numbers right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it looks like I'm going to be good. Got the 6th one right here. And I am going to go ahead and do another half double decrease, half double crochet decrease, so that I don't have a hole right here. So sometimes there will be a hole in the bottom of the seam. So I'm going to place my first piece of that, insert into that hole in the bottom, pull up my loops, and work the decrease there. It'll really kind of shore up that corner piece. And then I'm going to join, let's see, join into that first half double crochet. There it is. And actually I want to count first. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, see, I can't even keep count. It's hard to see the stitches with this yarn. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24. Perfect. That's what I needed. So now I'm going to join. I'm not going to be turning between rows. So I'm going to chain one and I'll be able to start my first or my second row. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take these stitch markers out because I no longer need them. All right, the other thing that I love about these, I shared it on Instagram a while back. Not everybody's fingers are the same, obviously, but I can put them on my finger while I crochet and then I don't have to lose them, which is wonderful. Okay, so let's see. And I don't have a ring light actually, so that's one thing that I do not have. I do have it. I don't have it turned on right now, so I'll turn it on. You guys can see the difference. I have one of those soft boxes that's like continuous lighting. Ooh, there we go. So that definitely helps a little bit with if I'm working on something or if I'm live, it gives a little bit more light on my face, which is nice, and I can see my work a little better. And those are pretty affordable on Amazon, but they take up a lot more space than a ring light. So I do feel like if I had a ring light, it might make more sense because this takes up a lot of space sitting. It's on a tripod and it's sitting on the corner of my table. So it takes up a lot of that space. But since I have it, I'm going to use it. You know, if anything ever happens to it or it stops working, then maybe I'll replace it with something else. Okay, let's see. Ellen says Christmas wish list number 1, as many of my kids and their people home for as many days as I can get them. Number 2, good food. Number 3, movie and game nights galore with adult drinks and food. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, we're actually going to get to visit all of our family this year. So we're going to drive to Montgomery to see my parents, and we're going to spend Christmas Day with his family, or Christmas Eve, and then we'll have Christmas Day here. And then we are thinking about trying to have a New Year's Eve party for all of our friends. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good holiday season. I'm hoping that the rush of orders will probably die down really this week. I mean, because it's getting to a point where it's really iffy if people are going to get things by Christmas. And then usually we have a pretty busy January because I think a lot of people get money or gift cards or things and they'll purchase things from us. We had a really busy January last year. But I'm excited to get to spend time with a lot of our family members. And then I think maybe after Christmas, we'll probably try to go see my grandparents in Huntsville. So that should be really nice, I think. But I hear that, Ellen, especially when you've got kids, just being able to have them home for any length of time once they've gone is a big deal. So I hope that they can all be home for a long time, as long as they and you can handle it. All right, let's see. I'm going to try this. Lauren says, oh, a ring light. Yeah, I got to get a new one. Is there one you have your eye on? Marianne says, I love to watch tutorials and reviews while I'm crocheting on my own project. I also watch tutorials for a project in hand when I need to. And that's what I had started doing more of that, where I won't have a full tutorial for my pattern, but I'll have helpful videos for the areas that I feel are going to be the most difficult. So, you know, I have a video, for instance, that shows how to sew the pocket on the Tonks hoodie, because I knew that that was one, not a lot of people have a lot of experience with hand sewing. You know, maybe they learned to crochet, but they did not know how to sew. So I knew that that would be a helpful video to offer. I will tell you guys for sure that no matter how far I get on this sleeve, I am going to finish this sleeve off video. So I'm going to finish the sleeve and the cuff. And that way, the entire next episode can be dedicated to the pockets. Because again, that's something that I think will be extremely helpful for people, not just doing the crochet along, but if they buy the pattern and they're struggling to put the pockets on, they'll have an opportunity to see that full tutorial of how I create the pockets, put them in place, sew them on. I think that'll be really nice. So at least I don't feel like I have to get through this whole sleeve because we've only got 15 minutes left. So it's not going to happen. So if you are working along with me, I am on row 4 of my second sleeve. And so you can finish that sleeve on your own time, and we will meet back next week to add the pockets, which I know not everybody's adding pockets, but I am definitely adding pockets. I love having the pocket option, and I think these are going to be super warm pockets because this yarn has really worked up nice and like a tight weave, tight knit. So hopefully it'll be super warm. Okay, let's see. Ellen says cataloger says Ellen's number 3 sounds awesome. This year we're having a sandwich bar for Christmas dinner. The kids are all grown and the rest of us are tired. That's pretty smart though. You could do some really cool things with that, I think. Let's see. Kim says I only have the challenge hook. I have a yellow one on my list. And we still have a lot of yellow ones, I think. That's one of the colors. That one and the red. We still have a lot of yellow and red. Emma says, thank you, Evelyn. Do you follow Ashley Lillis? She is who I've been learning from at the moment. I have not. So you can send me her information if you'd like to. And I feel like Wool and the Gang and We Are Knitters have a lot of good resources for chunky knits. So like the only knitting needles that I have that are chunky are from either We Are Knitters or Wool and the Gang. So you can check them out. They've got some really great patterns and kits and yarn and things like that. Is it okay to ask the other designers in the chat to post the names of their channels? I'd love to follow them and support their channels. That is perfectly fine. Ellen does say, Marianne, if you click the picture next to a name, you'll be able to see if someone has a channel, if that helps. There you go. DH had explicit instructions to give you my name and to say I'm in the club. I have seen that one. And no worries, it has all been cataloged for you. That cracked me up when I got that note. Winter says, yay, finally done with my order and it'll be shipped this week. I have money to eat again. Yes, that's good. That's good. And do you guys have, did you say you're in Canada or somewhere like that? Did you say I think you said you were in Canada. Do you guys have like a Aldi in Canada? I know they're in the UK. I don't know if they're in Canada, but that's been a lifesaver for saving money on food. I shop there as often as I can to save. Oh, that's great. Winter says that it was a pretty big order, so you can pay some bills and save up for rent. That's fantastic. I'm happy, but I want to wait for permission. Oh yeah, I mean, definitely y'all can share your YouTube channels so you guys can follow each other for sure. I still need to do a post in the Facebook group where you guys can share your Instagram handles. Let's see. Ellen says, I think you can change your YouTube name using a computer and clicking on your account info. That's probably where you're going to have to do it. Winter says, OMG, OMG, my customer sent me a Christmas present too. I love people. Sometimes, right? Some days I love people in general. Sometimes not so much. Today's a good people day. Kim says, thanks, Ellen. I'm going to switch to my PC. Can't figure it out in the app. Oh, I just jumped. Let's see. you like, I can call you something else even before you switch your name. Yeah, it's Marianne. Yep, is cataloger. It's not easy to crochet and teach people how to make what you're crocheting and host a live. Definitely. And Winter says, I just want to say how much I love the crochet community once again and getting sentimental again. Definitely. Thorn says, BRB wearing my yellow sheep outline stitch marker from a pink sheep order as a ring. Uh-huh. Yep. And Marianne says, crocheters are the best. Emma says, stop it. I really want some pink sheep stitch markers. They look so handy. Stupid postage costs. I know, Emma. I would always say, like, save up until you know that you have a few things you want to order at once, whether that's like some stickers or stitch markers, if you want to get a hook, those kinds of things. And definitely if you end up overpaying, because sometimes Etsy will overcharge, I always refund. So if for some reason you're kind of concerned that the shipping costs are weird, send me a message, place the order, but then I can refund you if they charged over what they should have charged, because sometimes that happens when combining different items. Let's see. If it helps, Emma, I actually couldn't find my stitch marker after all. And Winter says, I was like, how dare you be so sweet, OMG. Thorn, you, Rachel, and Debbie have been the most helpful, supportive ever, and I couldn't thank you enough. Kim says, pink sheep stitch markers are great. They slide on and off stitches easily, which makes working in the round a pleasure. I like the idea of storing them on your finger. I'll have to utilize that. And let me know if they fit, because it's almost like a fidget ring, because I tend to twist my rings, and because it's got the ears, I can flip it, so that's nice. Thorn says, pockets are no joke. Truth. I give up. Luckily, tech support is home from college for winter break. Yay! Yeah, see if that helps. Emma, pockets are the best. Can't wait for next week. Ellen says, gotta love that tech support when they get a winter break. Truth. Thorn says, okay, now that permission is obtained, my channel is literally this name I'm using right now. Perfect. Winter says, no Aldi, but I do have a cheap place to buy my food close to home. Good. And Thorn says, we have grocery outlet bargain market. I like it. I like that. Marianne says, thanks, Thorn. If anyone wants to be my friend on Ravelry, it's the same username. I have no desire to be a designer or content creator, but love supporting folks when I can. Thorn says, thanks, cataloger. I'm not on Ravelry at the moment, but I'll look you up. And Gloria, Miss Glow's Crochet Creations. Hello, everyone. We have about 5 more minutes left. And I was going to say, so this year I didn't actually have any crochet related items on my wish list. And the reason for that is because they're all business expenses. So it was like I didn't want anyone else to buy me stuff that I could claim as business expenses, because if they buy it, then I can't claim it. So like last year I was able to get my winder and my Swift and have that be part of the business, you know. So this year the big wish list was the treadmill, because before we moved, we had a treadmill in the old house, and I used it every day pretty much, especially towards the end of when we were going to move. But it was a really big one. So it was one that had like the big built-in desk. It just had a big footprint. And so we sold that one. And once we got things kind of settled here in this house, we figured out kind of the size that we would need for one. So I have that already. That was the early big gift. And a lot of the things that I asked for Christmas this year were books. I've really been getting back into reading. There's a couple of different series of books that I've been wanting to continue reading that maybe I have like the first 2 or something and I need the rest of them. So I'm really excited to maybe get some books this year. That was really the big thing. But I'm a big fan of socks, so I like getting socks. That's always fun. So books and socks, and we'll see what else. I'm also a fan. I don't know if you guys have ever used Miss Meyer's, like hand soap and dish soap and all of that. I love Miss Meyer's, and it's a splurge. You know, usually I just buy like the bargain, whatever from Aldi. So I asked for it for Christmas because I'm going to use it all year. And so I'll tell people, like, stock me up on it. Like, if you don't know what to get me Miss Meyer's. And that way, you know, I'm a big fan of buying things for people that are very functional and very useful and that they're actually going to get something out of. Um, and so, you know, if I know that they use a certain, you know, expensive coffee or something that they splurge on for themselves, and, you know, they may not be able to keep doing that, then I can get them, kind of stock them up on things that I know that they're going to use and enjoy. So that's really nice. Let's see. Kim says cat stitch markers fit perfectly on the finger and as a fidget tool. Just tried it. Perfect. There you go. Marsh Knitting 101 says hello everyone in the chat. What's everyone working on? Well, this is the mini puff Crochet-A-Long. So that's what I'm working on. I'm working on the second sleeve of the mini puff jacket, but I know we've got people working on lots of other things. And I wondered, so is cataloger, is that a librarian thing? I kind of wondered. Marianne, are you a librarian? I feel like the crochet community has like the coolest jobs. I've met a lot of people with really, really interesting jobs who enjoy crocheting. Emma says, I'm excited for next week. My niece is scheduled for the eject button. Can't wait to meet the little monster. She's going to be so cute. Yeah, babies are great. I had a friend who I met through crocheting and through the community who tested for me, who just had a baby. And it was really fun getting to go buy little gifts for her and the baby. I don't think I would want to have to do that regularly, like for, you know, my own kid, but it's really fun to go out and buy fun gifts for other people's children, especially babies. They've got really cute, like little onesies and things that you can get for them, and that's fun. Thorns is working on pineapple lace and blue linen. Oh, that's cool. Marsh Knitting is working on a Christmas stocking. Do you have a pattern for that, Marsh? You said you just uploaded a video. So is it your pattern? Are you working on someone else's pattern? I have not made a Christmas stocking pattern yet. I have a jumbo Santa hat pattern that is in my Etsy shop, but I have not made a stocking pattern yet. Ellen says, I love Miss Myers too. Radish, basil, and lemon verbena are my favorites. I really like the basil too. So for me, it's probably basil and honeysuckle are two of the top ones that I'll buy pretty often. And I like the lavender as well. Thorn says, I just went over to Ravelry and filled out my profile. Yeah, I mean, and Thorn, if you have lots of patterns, if you have patterns like on Etsy, I definitely suggest putting them on Ravelry. Even if you don't sell on Ravelry, you can link to your Etsy shop. But at least it's another place for people to search and find you, because it's a lot easier to search for very specific types of crochet projects, like by the amount of yardage you need and the yarn weight and all of that on Ravelry. But then I link over to Etsy for people to make the purchase. Yes, we're the librarians who make sure that the electric catalog works. Back in the day before my time, we were the card catalog folks. Yeah, and I remember getting to learn how to use a card catalog, so I don't feel too young. Making Project Linus blankets. I'm working on the mini puff. Thorn says, my ex works in a library. They're a digital archivist, I think is the term. I like that. Working on something else, on someone else's pattern, but change the heel is what Marsh said about the stocking. And let's see. Winter said, what's your Ravelry username? Emma says, I'm working on the mini puff, almost done with the first sleeve. How long is the cuff approximately? Wondering where to start the decrease round. I can measure that for you real quick. Let's see. Lauren says, wow, they have a very challenging but cool job. Public libraries are much more straightforward. We just have to make sure everyone can find the newest James Patterson. I like that. That's good. That's true, but I'm sure yours takes a lot of skill and expertise too. And Marsh shared that it is on Ravelry by Kelly Checkets, is the pattern that she is following, that they're following. Winter says there was no fave button for some reason, but I friended you. Yeah, there's like a favorites button and an library button, and like I still don't really completely understand Ravelry, but at least all my stuff is on there now, pretty much. Okay, so Emma, let me measure this for you. Got my handy dandy measuring tape. So my cuff, now remember I added one more row of single crochet to mine. All right. And I'm going to count the decrease row. So if you haven't done your decrease row yet, or if you have, actually I won't. I'm just going to count the single crochet rows. So the single crochet rows, it is just under 3.5 inches. Let me actually flip this so you can see how I'm measuring it. Hopefully that will be a little bit more helpful. Let's do that. Okay. All right. Got to adjust these so it stays. There we go. Okay. So you guys can see there's my cuff. And if I measure that here, I'm putting the 0 right on the edge. And so the 3 is back here. So I think it would be 3 inches if I include that final, that half double crochet decrease row is 3 inches. So maybe 2.25 for the actual cuff, but 3 if you include the decrease row. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay. All right, guys. It is 1:02, so it is time for me to sign off. Let's see. But I do plan on going live this Friday for the final Pink Sheep and Friends of the year. I think I'm going to take a break until January and February of next year, and we'll bring Pink Sheep and Friends back for its regular Fridays. But if my guest is still available, we are going to be going, I'm going to be going live with Lava Girl Knits. So super excited to have her on. Hopefully she's still available. I will have something posted on Instagram tomorrow just to let you guys know if that's happening or not. And I think that's everything for now. So I'm excited to finish this up next week. Like I said, finish up your sleeve on your own if you're working on it, the second sleeve and the cuff. And then for part 9, this is part 8. For part 9, we're going to do the pockets. That should be it. And we'll have our finished mini puff jacket. So I'm super excited. And yeah, I'll see you guys super soon. And if you're not in the Facebook group, be sure to join so that we can chat over there. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Happy hooking!